And now for some health news. The Wuhan virus is back in the form of a new variant. It's called EG51 or Eris, which, by the way, is also the name of the ancient Greek goddess of strife and discord. Eris, not exactly a great sign. The Eris variant is spreading in the US and the UK. The number of cases is on the rise. It is also being called the main cause of hospitalization in the UK. Eris is believed to be of the Omicron lineage. It spreads faster. The World Health Organization says Eris is a variant it is monitoring, meaning it's not the worst or the most alarming, but it may cause concern, mostly because the immunity from previous infection or vaccination may be waning. Does that mean they're building a case for another booster? Here's a report.
It's been almost 4 years since the pandemic first began. But the Wuhan virus doesn't seem to stop reinventing itself. You know of the Delta and Omicron variants. You've heard of the numerous subvariants of Omicron. And now one of these subvariants is making headlines in the US and UK. The EG5.1, nicknamed Eris. Don't let the short and simple name fool you. Eris is making a mark, leading to a surge in cases in the US, UK and other parts of the world. Eris and its cousin variants have been driving most new cases in the US for 2 weeks now. The latest data from the US Centers for Disease Control says that 17.3% of all new US cases are caused by EG5. That's the variant family that includes Eris. How many people has it actually infected? The US isn't really keeping a track of case numbers. Remember, since the pandemic was declared over, monitoring has gone off a cliff. Those who bother to get tested often do it from home. So, case numbers are unreliable. But the CDC has kept track of hospitalizations due to the Wuhan virus. And that number was over 8,000 last week. It's a 12% increase in COVID hospitalizations. So the surge is real. Why isn't everyone panicking about COVID and the Eris variant? Because American doctors expected the annual summer COVID spike to return, and it has. And it isn't a wave, yet anyway. So while there's an uptick of cases, it isn't a return to the pandemic just yet. There's similar news from the UK. Britain still regularly checks how many respiratory issue cases are due to the Wuhan virus. The UK Health Security Agency checks about 4,400 cases a week. In the week ending July 30th, 5.4% of the respiratory issues were caused by COVID-19. It was responsible for only 3.7% the week before that. The values may seem small, but it's an increase of almost 1.5 times. That's not great news. By the end of July, Eris was behind almost 15% of all new COVID infections in the UK. It was responsible for 10% when the month began. So, you can see, Eris is steadily becoming more prevalent. Already, it's in second place behind the XBB 1.16 subvariant. That variant has been dominating UK cases for months now. But Eris is expected to overtake it. What about the rest of the world? India recorded 54 new cases today. It was 47 yesterday. That's a drop in the ocean considering India's population, but it doesn't mean people or the government can take it easy. More data about the variants behind the cases is needed. But if Eris has come to India, people should take precautions. Better safe than sorry, as they say. What should you look out for? Eris isn't too different from other Omicron offshoots. The symptoms are a runny nose, headaches, fatigue, sneezing, and a sore throat. But vulnerable people still need to take care. People with comorbidities, the elderly especially. The variants may change, but they remain dangerous for the same people. To protect yourself, follow the same rules you did during the peak of the pandemic. Use masks and sanitizers. Try going only to well-ventilated places. Get your vaccine if you haven't already. And get booster doses if enough time has passed since your last shot. As much as we want to believe that the worst is over, we can't forget that the Wuhan virus is still around. Eris is just the latest iteration. It'll likely keep coming back in new forms. And all we can really do is take all precautions and be responsible.
Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. One is the owner of Twitter, or X. The other changed the world with Meta. They've never been the best of friends, but now this tech rivalry has gone a notch up. Or should I say, several notches up. These two men have decided to settle their differences in a cage fight. Now, we knew the tech world was competitive, but a cage fight is a bit much, even for eccentric billionaires. This fight will be live streamed on X/Twitter. Elon Musk says he may need surgery before the fight, but Zuckerberg says he's not holding his breath for it. So will the cage fight really happen, and who stands a better chance to win? Our next report tells you all about this billion-dollar fight club.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate showdown. In one corner, we have the brain behind Tesla and SpaceX, Elon the Rocket Musk. In the other corner is the king of social media, Mark the data collector Zuckerberg. These tech titans often spar virtually, but this time it's not a battle of tweets or competing social media platforms. This time it is about the real punch. Ties between the tech titans have always been frosty, but they became direct competitors in July. That's when Mark Zuckerberg launched Threads, the social media platform that is directly taking on Twitter, or should we say X. Since then, the two have been egging each other on. Tweets and posts, all talking about a real fight. Do we have a date for the fight? Not yet. Zuckerberg says he is proposed 26th of August. Musk says nothing is final. He may need a surgery before that. But even the idea that these two will fight it out is ridiculous. Are they trying to show their MMA skills? Or is it just a weird way to outdo each other? As tech titans, they are known to think out of the box, to push boundaries, but these two are taking it to a whole new level. I mean, what better way to showcase who's better than a fight that unleashes their inner warrior? But irony aside, this is a ridiculous proposition. One can't help but wonder what this cage fight is about. Is it a way for them to prove their alpha status? Or a modern-day duel to assert dominance in the tech industry? Or is it just a desperate attempt to distract us from the pressing issues their companies face? Both Musk and Zuckerberg have changed the world of technology. They have connected people across the globe and explored new frontiers. They could have continued with that. They could have used their platforms for real change. But instead, they are resorting to a brawl, one that will end up just stroking their own egos. Also, what message does this send to the tech industry? Are disputes now supposed to be settled by combat? Is that the new norm, or are we going back in time to the Roman era? In the end, the Musk-Zuckerberg cage fight feels like a sideshow, a distraction from the real challenges. If you have watched the movie Fight Club, you may know this. The first rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about it. But this billionaire-dollar fight club has different rules. And the first rule is, you only talk about it. So move over Mayweather versus McGregor. This is the match we've all been waiting for. This is the battle of the billionaires. A spectacle of Silicon Valley leaders and their petty egos. Who knows what other surprises these tech titans have in store for us? As long as it's not a dance-off, I guess we will be okay.
Concordant information currently in its possession indicates that forces of a foreign power are preparing to attack Niger and its people, in coordination with ECOWAS and armed terrorist groups. Faced with the threat of intervention that is becoming clearer through preparation from a neighboring country, Niger's airspace is closed as of today, Sunday, August 6, 2023, for all airports until further notice. Any attempt to violate national airspace will be met with an energetic and instantaneous response.
Niger's military junta made that announcement yesterday, the day of the deadline to release and restore President Mohamed Bazoum. Bazoum still remains in the junta's grasp, and Niger's generals are preparing for war. As you can see, all flight activity stopped over Niger yesterday. The country is preparing for a military intervention. A military intervention by the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. That's the group that issued the ultimatum. Nigeria, a member of ECOWAS, has already cut electricity supplies to Niger. It supplies around 70% of Niger's power. This threatens to cause a humanitarian crisis in the coup-hit nation. But Niger doesn't just blame Nigeria and ECOWAS for its troubles. The coup leaders and supporters also pin the blame elsewhere. The old colonizer, France. Niger's junta may have just alluded to France during its announcement, but the coup supporters were more blunt.
It's France that is behind this ECOWAS force that wants to attack us. I think they've noticed that we have the support of Burkina, we have the support of Mali, we have the support of a certain number of partners who are ready to attack if Niger is attacked. This is a declaration of war. It's the end of ECOWAS.
Niger's junta believes it has the support of other coup-hit nations, Burkina Faso and Mali. They also happen to be former French colonies, and their leaders have also been condemning France since they took power. There's definitely anti-France sentiment that's been sweeping its former colonies in West Africa. We discussed this in detail last week, and appealing to this sentiment has helped military leaders claim legitimacy after toppling elected governments in the region. The same script is being repeated in Niger. Yesterday, the junta filled a stadium in the capital Niamey with its supporters. There were reportedly some 30,000 coup supporters present. They were seen celebrating the coup and condemning the French military presence in Niger. At the stadium, some coup supporters even chopped off the head of a chicken painted in French colors.
When the French army says it is not going to leave, well, we are going to tell the French army, we, the citizens of Niger, all the citizens of Niger, I don't even mean the army, it is the citizens who are going to make them leave.
France has some 1,500 troops stationed in the country, and it has reportedly not removed them so far. And their presence adds to the feeling some coup supporters have, that they still aren't free from French colonization. That despite officially getting independence in 1960, the country has still been exploited. Supporters justify this coup by saying it's a new independence, and some are even prepared to lay down their lives for it.
63 years of aid. Where are we? We are lost in Africa. And yet, we are told that Niger is very rich in potential. And then we are lost. So what's the point of foreign aid? We would be resilient behind our defense and security forces to be able to wrest our independence, our new independence.
C'est notre façon, en tant que société civile, en tant que citoyen, de participer à la stratégie de défense de notre nation. Vous savez, dans tous les pays, la défense de notre patrie n'est pas l'apanage des seuls militaires. Nous avons, comme vous le voyez, nous n'avons pas d'armes, mais nous avons nos cœurs, nous avons notre sang, et nous avons décidé de mettre notre sang au service de la défense de notre patrie.
Niger's junta has brought reinforcements to the capital Niamey. Italy and Germany are asking ECOWAS to extend the reinstatement deadline. Mali and Burkina Faso have sent a delegation to Niger. West Africa looks to be gearing up for war, and that's the last thing the impoverished region and the world needs right now.
In Pakistan, the inevitable has happened. Imran Khan has been arrested. Many would say he was asking for it. On Saturday, a local court in Lahore found him guilty. Of what? Well, there are 140 cases against him, but this one was about corruption. Imran Khan is accused of illegally selling state gifts for $500,000, and he's been convicted and jailed. The sentence is 3 years, the maximum, which also means that he cannot contest the election. Imran Khan has been barred from holding public office for the next 5 years. I guess it's job done for the Pakistan army. But why get him arrested? Imran Khan's party had already been broken up. His top leaders had abandoned him. So why the arrest? Well, maybe to prove a point. You may remember what happened last time Imran Khan was arrested. The date was 9th May 2023. Imran Khan rallied his supporters. He asked them to hit the streets. Even the army headquarters in Rawalpindi was targeted. This time he used the same strategy. Imran Khan recorded a message before his arrest. This is what he said. Listen to this.
जब तक ये पैगाम आप तक पहुंचेगा, मुझे ये अरेस्ट कर चुके होंगे और मैं जेल में होऊंगा, तो मेरी आपसे सिर्फ एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है, अपील है कि आपने घरों में चुप करके नहीं बैठना। मैं ये जो जदोजहद कर रहा हूँ, ये अपनी ज़ात के लिए नहीं कर रहा, ये अपनी कौम के लिए कर रहा हूँ, आपके लिए कर रहा हूँ, आपके बच्चों के मुस्तकबिल के लिए कर रहा हूँ। पुरअमन एहतजाज आपने करते रहना है जब तक कि आपको आपका हक नहीं मिलता, और वो सबसे बड़ा फंडामेंटल राइट है वोट के ज़रिए अपनी हुकूमत मुंतखब करना, ना तो किसी और कोई कब्ज़ा ग्रुप इस मुल्क के ऊपर कब्ज़ा करके बैठ जाए जो आज कब्ज़ा करके बैठा हुआ है।
Good speech. Did not help him though. The people had learned their lesson. They were not willing to risk water cannons or military trials. So what did they do? They stayed at home. There were some minor protests in Karachi, but nothing like the last time. Where does that leave Imran Khan? His lawyers have appealed the conviction in a higher court. They also want him shifted to a different jail. And why is that? Apparently, the facilities are not good at this one. Now, let's be clear about two things here. One, Imran Khan was corrupt. There are no two ways about it. And two, his conviction is about selective justice. If corruption was a bar, half of Pakistan's army and parliament would be in jail. So this is less about justice and more about politics. Imran Khan made one crucial mistake though. He assumed popularity would protect him. And no doubt he was popular. Thousands of people used to attend his rallies. But in Pakistan, popularity gets you nowhere. If you want power, you need the army. They can rig the elections in your favor. Speaking of which, there is talk of delaying the upcoming vote. Pakistan's law minister says elections can only be conducted after a new census. And how long will that take? At least 4 months. The current government's term expires on the 12th of August. After that, a caretaker government is supposed to take over. It must conduct elections within 3 months. So by November. But at this rate, who knows? Maybe the army wants to tie up the loose ends. Maybe they want to ensure that Imran Khan's judicial appeal does not succeed. We can speculate, but it's impossible to really know. Looking back, what do we make of this whole episode, though, of Imran Khan's rebellion? In the month of May, the army appeared to be shaken. The scenes were indeed unprecedented. But as they say, never bet against the army in Pakistan. General Asim Munir mounted a systematic campaign. He could have doubled down and arrested Imran Khan months ago. He did not do that. Instead, he waited. First, he rounded up hundreds of Imran Khan supporters. He tried some of them in military courts. The idea was not justice. The idea was intimidation. Then he targeted Imran Khan's top leaders. More than 100 of them left the party. Some of them have even floated a new one. The army allegedly cracked down on media as well. No frenzied coverage of Imran Khan, not even regular updates. The former Prime Minister was denied all of his weapons, his supporters, his lieutenants, and his public platforms, all gone. The final step of that plan was the arrest. It was a cold and calculated trap, something Imran Khan, the captain, would have been proud of. But the people of Pakistan won't be surprised. This is a cycle they're used to. The army takes what the army gives. About a year ago, a survey was held across 17 countries. The list included the US, India, and the Netherlands. People in these countries were asked one question: what do you feel about returning to office? 2/3 of them had only one response: don't ask us to come to office or we'll quit. It was a bold claim, also a hollow one, because most of them are now dragging their feet to work, competing for parking space in offices and returning to their dull desks. What does it tell you? Crusaders of hybrid work are on the losing end of this war. Work from home is dying a slow death. The President of the United States of America agrees. Joe Biden has directed federal workers to return to office. It's a quote-unquote priority for him. Many say, about time. When federal employees work from home, they waste taxpayer money. Many cabinet agency headquarters are on rent. They cost the government millions of dollars a month. It comes up to about $5 billion every year to lease office space for the government. $5 billion, $2 billion annually on maintenance of buildings. And what for? These buildings have become a shadow of their former selves. On most days, they sit empty. The average occupancy is about 20%. So now the US government is calling staff back, and it's joining a slow but sure migration. A reverse migration, as some like to call it. People are bidding goodbye to Zoom and being hauled back to conference rooms. And leading this change are Wall Street firms, followed by tech giants like Apple, Meta, Google, and X, formerly Twitter. Also, speaking of Zoom, it slammed an ironic, if not the last nail in the coffin. Zoom has been the flag bearer of remote work. 3 years ago, the pandemic upended work patterns. It forced people into working from home, and Zoom became the go-to video conferencing service. This company revolutionized work from home. In 2020, its shares skyrocketed. They increased 6-fold. But towards the end of 2021, they fell drastically. And since then, Zoom has lost $100 billion in market value. Quite the roller coaster. Also an indication of the change in work patterns the world over. Turns out, even Zoom is not immune to this post-pandemic shift. Zoom is now calling employees back to office at least 2 days a week. And with this, Zoom is joining a long list of companies. 90% of companies across the world have asked their staff to work from office. Some offered incentives to get them back. Some say they will fire workers if they don't return. So a bit of love bombing and then harsh measures, all to get people back. You may wonder why. Are companies evil slave drivers? Are they bored of offices turning into ghost towns? Are they worried about coffee machines gathering dust? Well, probably not. They have a different reason for calling you back: boosting productivity. Let me explain with some numbers. According to a study by UCLA, workers are 18% less productive when working from home. 18%. According to a study by Harvard, an online retailer saw a 4% drop in productivity due to remote work. Employees answered fewer sales calls, they had poorer interactions, and they put customers on hold for longer. Another study claims even chess professionals fare worse in online matches. So work from home may feel good, but it's not proving to be great for business. It makes harder for teams to collaborate. Professional networks within companies become isolated. A study conducted this year found that when you work from home, you do not exchange enough feedback. You find it harder to learn new skills. So while video conferencing is convenient and appears cost-effective, it proves to be expensive over time for your company. And companies know this. They're struggling to find the right balance. Some are cushioning the blow with hybrid work. Others are simply landing blows with ultimatums. The fact is, the way we work is changing again. Only this time it feels like the revolution has turned full circle and we are back to where we started. Which side of the divide are you on? Write to us. We'd love to hear from you. And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Starting with the United States of America, a massive fire broke out at a plastic recycling facility. Officials have issued a health alert due to hazardous air pollution. In Alaska, an entire house collapsed in the Mendenhall River after record glacier flooding. And Italy's Coast Guard rescued more than 50 migrants after 2 shipwrecks. The rescue operation took place off an island in the Mediterranean Sea. And finally, what makes the 7th of August significant? On this day in 1960, the West African nation of Ivory Coast gained independence from France. It became a French colony in 1893. In 1958, Ivory Coast became a self-governing independent republic within the French rule. We're leaving you with that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
There goes.
Recuperali tutti. Forza, bravi.